If you have a dog, cat, or other pet and wonder whether you can install an alarm system in your home, this episode is for you. If you do some research, you'll find that alarm manufacturers offer solutions specifically designed for homeowners with pets. Still, there are comments on internet forums saying that they don't always work well and that pets cause false alarms. People say they end up not activating the alarm at all when they are away to avoid unnecessary problems and stress, not only for themselves, but also for their furry friends. But is this really the case that there's no effective solution? Should pet owners really forgo the protection offered by an alarm system? This is what we'll be looking at in today's episode together with this little friend here called Bójka. Today we'll explain why a standard motion detector will not be suitable, how motion detectors with pet immunity work, which other solutions and devices are effective in this situation, why proper system configuration is critical here. Let's start with how a motion detector works. There are two standard types of motion detector, PER and dual tech. The PER motion detector reacts to temperature changes. A living creature, be it human or animal, produces more heat than walls and furniture. So, when it moves, a change in temperature relative to the background is detected, which the detector reads as a movement and triggers the alarm. A dual-tech motion detector, on the other hand, combines two technologies, PER and microwave. It detects not only temperature differences, but also changes in the frequency of the reflected microwaves it emits. When objects around the detector don't move, the reflected waves return to it at the same frequency. But when an object moves within the field of view, again, no matter if it's a human or animal, the waves reflected from it return to the detector with a changed frequency. This change is sensed by the microwave sensor as movement. It's only when both detectors confirm motion detection, namely a change in temperature and wave frequency, that the alarm is triggered. Remember that for the detector to work properly, it must above all be properly installed, in line with the manufacturer's recommendations. This is why you should have alarm devices installed by a professional installer. They'll know how to do it the right way to minimize the risk of false alarms. Right, now you know why the animal triggers false alarms. For this reason, alarm manufacturers developed something special, motion detectors with PET immunity or PET function. How does the PET feature work? In short, detectors equipped with this function differ from standard PER motion detectors in two ways. The first is a different optical system. In a PET detector, the infrared detection sensitivity in the lower part of the protected area is reduced. The second is the device's software. As a result, animals of a certain size, such as our guest today, can move around in this space without triggering the alarm. The device manuals usually specify the animal's weight, although in practice, its height is also important. You must check the parameters in individual detectors as they may differ from one another. For example, this detector, the APD-200 PET, also called the Motion Detector PET, is immune to the movement of pets up to 20 kilos in weight and up to 1 meter in height from the floor. Our Bójka weighs about 8 kilos and is less than 50 centimeters high. So, she meets the criteria with room to spare and will be able to move around the house safely. But there is one catch, and I'll tell you where. It's the height criterion. In theory, our Bójka meets the requirements of the detector, but if she jumps onto the sofa or chest of drawers, she'll be more than a meter above the floor and will get an alarm. But don't worry, there's another solution for owners of active and lively pets. What I mean is perimeter protection, both indoor and outdoor, and division into partitions. Perimeter protection, in short, involves devices that guard the perimeter of a house or property. This can be opening detectors installed on the windows and interior doors, as well as on gates and wickets outside the house. It is also a good idea to install outdoor curtain detectors on the facade of the building in such a way that they form a narrow, invisible barrier along the entrance door, terrace door, or large glaze areas if you have any. Additionally, fit them on gate, wicket, and fence posts to create an early detection barrier around the property. Once the perimeter protection devices are in place, it's crucial to configure them properly, set up the system, and define the partitions correctly. Here, a professional installer can help you. Let's take a moment to look at the division into partitions. This solution offers greater flexibility of system operation while maintaining maximum security. That's because we designate specific areas for protection and leave other areas unarmed, so that people can move around freely. Separate partitions may include the ground floor, first floor, garden, garage, house perimeter, fence, or selected rooms. This allows the system to be adapted to the current situation, in one manner when we're at home, differently when we're asleep, and differently again when we're away. Dividing into partitions is particularly useful for pet owners. Imagine that you're going out and leaving your pet at home, arming only the perimeter protection zones and the garden. This means your pet can move freely around the house without triggering the alarm, regardless of how much it weighs, how high it is, or how it moves. It can jump on furniture and windowsills and even fly across the house. And you don't need to lock your furry friends in one room for long, which is a huge comfort for them as they still feel free and safe. The chances of your pet opening a window or door on its own and triggering the opening detector are really very slim. This demonstrates that well-programmed perimeter protection can combine home security with pet comfort without compromise. What we get is minimized risk of false alarms and effective protection, as well as a stress-free day for your pet. Another effective solution, or addition to those already discussed, is the installation of cameras with intelligent image analysis. Such cameras can determine whether a moving object is a person or an animal. SATEL's alarm systems such as INTEGRA, WAVE and PERFECTA 64M make it possible to integrate third-party outdoor cameras and receive their signals as if they were additional detectors in the system. This means such a camera can notify the control panel that it has detected a person moving, and if the protection is on, an alarm will be triggered. Additionally, applications for the systems mentioned above allow us to view live camera images and check how our pet is doing. This is a very good and effective solution in buildings where animals are present. Just like in the case of perimeter protection, we minimize the risk of false alarms, ensure high protection effectiveness, and allow animals to move freely throughout the house. In this episode, I want to say one main thing to pet owners. Don't give up the protection and peace of mind that an alarm system can offer. I hope I've managed to show you that there are solutions available that are effective and safe for your little pet friends. If you have any further questions, leave them in the comments. Remember to subscribe to the channel and leave a like under this episode. Me and Bujka will be very pleased. See you next time. Bye!